Hello, my name is David Corrigan. I'm the owner and chief instructor here at Progressive Martial Arts Academy in Oak Ridge, Tennessee. This video is something I've been wanting to do for a while. It's a very important video, and I'm here today to explain to you the ranking system that we use here at Progressive Martial Arts. I'm going to break it down starting with our youngest age group, the Lil Dragons, all the way through to what the belts are used, which belts are used for the adult program for ages 18 and up. So first belt that everyone's going to start with, and arguably the most important belt, is the white belt. At this academy, you have to earn your white belt, so when you first start training, you actually won't have a belt. Your gi will tie with no belt around the waist, and usually within the first couple of classes, once the instructor sees that you're dedicated, you're here coming to class, doing what you need to do, you'll be promoted to white belt. The reason I say it's one of the most important is twofold. The first is getting you or your child to come in the door and start your martial arts journey is one of the hardest things for us to do. Once you come in, the rest is taken care of. We'll take care of it, and you won't look back. It'll be one of the best decisions you've made in your entire life. So just getting you to come in and start your journey is one of the hardest steps. Once you're here, the rest is up to us, so to speak. The second reason it's one of the most important belts, we'll talk about again in a few minutes. So keep that in mind, that's the white belt. So the Lil Dragons, that's for ages 4 through 7. That program is really just focused on skill building. They're a little too young to start memorizing martial arts techniques and not quite coordinated enough to do a lot of the things that we teach here at PMA. So we have a completely separate belt ranking system for them. Every belt is a white belt with a colored stripe down the middle. They'll follow the exact same colors as our juniors and our adult programs. And those colors are the typical colors for a Kempo program. It goes white, yellow, orange, purple, blue, green, brown, and then black. Let me clarify right here in the beginning, we don't award black belts to any students under the age of 18. However, both our Lil Dragons and Juniors program will have a belt that has black on it, that marks the end of the belt system for that age group, but it will not be a full black belt. So for example, the Lil Dragons program, like I said, is a white belt with a colored stripe going down the middle, so they have a Lil Dragon black belt. Since that class is focused on skill building, and by skill building I mean things like respect, focus, discipline, balance, coordination, and safety skills too, so stranger awareness, bully prevention, health and nutrition, all kinds of different safety skills. The Lil Dragon black belt is typically earned around 2 or 3 years after training, so if a 4-year-old starts training, they might be a Lil Dragon black belt by around age 6 or 7. And that's just saying that we think they've acquired a lot of the skills necessary from the Lil Dragons program. Usually they'll then stay at the Lil Dragon black belt for another few months or maybe a year or two as a leader in that 4 to 7 age category until the instructor thinks that they're ready to bump up to the juniors class. With that said, parents need to keep in mind at this age when they come in, a lot of parents are bringing their child to us wanting to teach them discipline or respect or focus, and those things are outstanding, but at ages 4 through 7, one of our most important jobs is to make sure your child's having a lot of fun every time they come to class. They're going to be learning respect and discipline, we promise, but sometimes from the outside in, you watch and they're laughing and running around the whole class, and that's because we need martial arts at this age to be the best part of their week. We want them walking in and they can't wait to get on the mat and start playing some of the martial arts games that we teach them here and that sort of thing, because it is a long journey. We teach martial arts to be a way of life, and we want to instill in every one of our students that this is something that they're going to keep doing for the rest of their life. So if at ages 4 and 5 and 6, it's already becoming something where they're forced to stand still through the whole class and they can't let loose and have fun and play, then sometimes because that's so hard to do at ages 4 and 5, it starts becoming a negative aspect of their week. So let's say they get in trouble from maybe their parents or the teacher, if that's the way our teachers had to teach the class, and then martial arts automatically has a negative impact on their life where they're thinking, oh, I don't want to go to class because I'm going to have to stand still and that sort of thing. So we want to slowly introduce those skills. Now, when they're ready to bump up to the juniors program, which we will decide, and it's usually if they're in the Lil Dragons class at age 4, they might be ready for the 8 and up class around 6 or 7, because the other 8-year-olds, remember, will be coming in without any previous experience. So a lot of times you'll see a Lil Dragon student move up before their age is 8 or 9 or so, but the juniors program is next. The juniors program follows the same ranking system, white, yellow, orange, all the way up to black. But at the juniors level, because this is a lot of times where we get the most kids, and one of the periods where they're going to be in a ranking system for a long time, there's a lot of belts. Each color has 3 levels. First level would be a colored belt with a white stripe through it. So after a junior earns their white belt, the next belt that they test for is that yellow belt with a white stripe. From the yellow belt with a white stripe, they would go to a full yellow belt. And from full yellow, they go to a yellow belt with a black stripe. The next belt after this would be the next color, first level. So it would be an orange belt, back to a white stripe, then a full orange belt, then an orange belt with a black stripe. And again, following the same color structure as the Lil Dragons and adults. The juniors typically will make it to junior level black belt, which is going to be a black belt with a white stripe through it. Again, not a full black belt. Usually this will take them somewhere around 5 years, something like that. So a junior coming in at age 8 years old will look at if with consistent attendance, maybe testing for their junior black belt about the same time they're ready to start transitioning into the young adults class, which is for ages 13 and up. Okay, so we have a junior black belt. In the juniors program, they're now starting to get introduced to the martial arts techniques where they have to start memorizing things. They have to learn self-defense techniques and keep them from one class to the next. Whereas the Lil Dragons just came in, had fun, maybe learned how to kick or punch, but we're not going to expect them to remember everything we taught them 6 months ago at tomorrow's class, where the juniors are going to have to start remembering their techniques from 1 week to the next. Okay. Once they're ages 13, they move into the adult ranking system. The adults, again, follow the same colors. With the adults, we do have half belts. So in between a white belt and a yellow belt, you have a half white, half yellow belt. Okay? This is just so that rather than spending 6 months to a year at white belt, maybe you're spending 3 to 6 months at white belt before you see that you're making progress and you get to test for the next belt. And that's really what having all of the different colors is all about. You know, there was a time when there weren't this many colors in the martial arts, but over time teachers realized that to keep a student motivated, they needed a way to show the student that they're making progress. And that's what the belts do. They keep us motivated, whether that's physically staying in shape because we know we're going to have to get ready for the next test, whether it's mentally keeping our techniques sharp because we want to get prepared for that next level. It's a very good motivational tool to keep you on track with your martial arts training. Once you make it to the young adult program, you're there for, let's say, ages 13 and you're going through the adult belts, you will make it to black belt in the adult system, usually around 4 or 5 years with consistent attendance. But remember that every student is different. Some students, it might take 10 years if their training isn't as consistent or they have interruptions in their training, things like that. And some students do it faster. We have students that have done it in 3 years. So it really is an individual thing, it's by no means you come to class and you get your next rank. Each student is very individual. Okay? So those are the belts broken down. At each black belt level, that includes the Lil Dragon black belt level, the junior black belt level, and of course the full black belt level, you can earn degrees on your black belt. So let's say a Lil Dragon black belt, they started training at 4, they earned their Lil Dragon black belt around age 6, and we decide they're not ready for the juniors program yet, they can still continue to earn degrees on their black belt. So they can test for a stripe, and that would be a red stripe like you see on mine, every few months or so to keep them motivated while we get them ready for the juniors program. A junior black belt, the same thing. Let's say a junior starts training at age 8, earns their junior black belt maybe at age 13, moves into the young adult class. They will keep their junior black belt in the young adult class until they're ready to take our black belt test at age 18. And they can earn degrees on their black belt every year or so on their way towards that full black belt test at age 18. With that said, I want to take just a second to talk about our black belt test. When a student at PMA is selected to test for their black belt, and I'm not talking about a Lil Dragon or a junior black belt, for their full black belt, they are returned from brown belt to the status of white belt. So if you remember at the beginning of the video, we talked about white belt being one of the most important belts for 2 reasons. The first was just getting you in the door can be very difficult. Well, the second is because when you are selected to test for your black belt, we bring you back to the status of white belt. From that period where you're selected until when you take your black belt test, you're training and you're getting ready for that test, which is 3 days long, and it's supposed to be one of the hardest things, if not the hardest thing, you'll ever do in your entire life. so that you know when you make it to the other side that no matter what obstacle comes your way, you're going to be able to make it through it because you know you made it through your black belt test. That could be a physical obstacle such as an attack, an assault, or a kidnapping situation. It could be a mental obstacle or something devastating happens in your life. You lose your job, your spouse leaves you, or anything that happens in your life that's challenging. We want you to be prepared for that physically and mentally from your black belt test. So we bring you back to the status of white belt. That's a lot to instill humility as well and to remind you of the mindset that you had as a white belt. And that was everything was new. You were excited about everything you learned. You were humble because you didn't know anything yet. That's the mindset we need to keep, not just while we're getting ready for our black belt, but once we've earned our black belt as well. You'll see that every black belt underneath is just a white belt. When you see them start to fade at the edges, you'll see white is still under that color black, and that's to remind us that we're always white belts, and we should always keep that white belt mentality of humility and of always desiring to continue to make ourselves better in every aspect of our lives. Okay? So those are the ranks broken down quickly. If you ever have any questions about the ranks, please feel free to pull me aside, or any of the instructors will explain them to you. But I decided to make this video so parents, students always have a quick access to understand what the ranks are all about, because they are very important in the martial arts. Again, David Corrigan from Progressive Martial Arts Academy, and those are the ranks used here at PMA. Thanks.